Shalom, shalom. Another Wednesday. Tuning in, same channel, same time. Brothers,
Right.
introduce yourselves.
I am Zion, AOC Cleveland.
Brother Nawa, LC, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
And Goodbye, AOC New York. Today, great day. Woke up this morning. Body was most high one and healthy, full of energy. And this month, we know that this month is an important month. We started off with Memorial Day of Trumpets, Feast of Trumpets, right? And now we're on the cusp of Day of Atonement. And tonight's subject is the Day of Atonement, right? And the Feast of Trumpets is not only for us to come together because a horn was blown for us to come together, but also, as we know, a horn is used to send an alarm or gather the people together, right? And can somebody get me Numbers chapter 10?
I got it out of one.
Go to verse 1.
Got out of one. This is the book of Numbers, chapter 10, verse 1. And the Elohim spake unto Moses, saying, Make thee 2 trumpets of silver, and of a whole piece shalt thou make them,
Keep going.
that thou mayest use them for the calling of the assembly, and for the journeying of the camps.
Keep going.
And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
So it shows us that by blowing the trumpet, which was made from one piece of silver and another one made of gold, whichever one was blown, it was for a specific purpose. Either it was to warn the people that a danger was coming, or to have us come together to the front of the door of the tabernacle. Now, in the beginning of the month, we just celebrated Feast of Trumpets. Now, the horn was blown for us to come together to understand the urgency of what's going to come next, which was the Day of Atonement, right? And during this month, it's just basically a spiritual new year, because we're about to go inside ourselves and contemplate what went down during the year, what mistakes we made, and reflect on our own infirmities, right? And when we look at atonement, basically, during that day, we're not supposed to eat, drink, or have any type of food in our system during that day. From sundown the day before to sundown the next day, we are afflicting our souls for the purposes of elevating our spirit with the Most High. And just like we read in the book of Numbers, right now we just coming together because we just celebrated the Feast of Trumpets, which was a good time with brothers. But soon we're going to have to, break down and either go into ourselves, depending on where you are. You might have to celebrate it alone, or you might be with brothers to celebrate that day, to come together. And because the scriptures tells us, if I'm not mistaken, to confess our sins one to another. do brothers have to anything to add to what I just said, or
No. Go ahead. You get it.
So we have to atone for what we did, and atone is basically being in a specific state of mind, because a tone of sound resonates at a specific frequency, right? So we have to resonate during that day at a specific frequency during the 24 hours to atone for what we did during the whole year, whether it be small or great, whether it might not mean anything to other people. To you, you have to have a spirit of contrite. Let me see. Can you get me? Let me see what scripture. Let me see. Psalms 51. Psalm 51. Give me the last 3 verses.
Book of Psalms, chapter 61.
51. 51.
Or 51?
Mm-hmm. And Zion, give me Ecclesiasticus 3 and 30.
The book of Psalms, chapter 51, verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
The sacrifices of the Alahayim are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart.
Broken and contrite. What?
Contrite heart.
Contrite heart. A broken and contrite heart. Those are the sacrifices. Okay. Give me, Ecclesiasticus 3 and 30 first. No, 3 and 3. 3 and 3.
3 and 3. Come on. The book of Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 3 and verse 3. Whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his soul.
See? So just by honoring that day, you make an atonement for your own soul before the Most High. So that means that day, specifically for our people, is very not only important, but those that know that day exists is very grave, because if you don't follow that day, according to the law, let's see, Leviticus 23 and 23. Let me see.
Leviticus.
No, 23 and 27.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 7. In the first day, ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
That's 23 and 27.
Oh, select it. 27. But you said 7. I don't want.
No, 23 and 27.
23, 27. Also, on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto the Alahayim.
Keep going.
And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is the day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your power.
Keep going.
For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people.
Keep going. One more.
And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in the same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people.
See that? So you're not supposed to On the Day of Atonement, you're not supposed to do any servile work or any type of work. You're not supposed to lift anything. You're supposed to sit down alone or with brothers and afflict your soul and contemplate the whole year, because after the Day of Atonement is what? Is the Feast of Tabernacles. And the Feast of Tabernacles is to rebuild our temples. Because when we was in the wilderness, what we did was we had to break down our tents and keep moving. And when we stopped somewhere, we would rebuild it to be able to sleep in there. So this Day of Atonement is you breaking down your own body to make a better connection with the Most High, to make amends for all your sins of this year. And after that, from the Feast of Tabernacles, you are basically rebuilding this same temple in your body for the end of the year. Because during the Feast of Tabernacles, it was the ending of the feast, the harvest, and we had to gather everything. Gather everything. So in that same sense, we have to gather ourselves together during the Day of Atonement and contemplate, be a contrite heart. And once that day is over, you begin a new spiritual new year, a new spiritual year for yourself and for your soul. Give me Ecclesiastes 3:30.
Count out of one. It's the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3, verse 30. Water will quench a flaming fire, and alms maketh an atonement for sins.
Alms making an atonement for sins. And in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 23, it tells you that obedience is better than sacrifice. So during that day, you're not even able to sacrifice anything during that day until the night, right? So imagine back in the day when our parents were sinning and grabbing all them, goats and sheep and sacrificing them even before they committed the sin. During that day, if you look at the scripture, you can't sacrifice anything during that day. You can't do any type of work. You can't sacrifice anything. You have to sit down and be like, damn, I went off. On that particular day, I went off. On this day, I did this day, I did that. What's wrong with me, man? And you have to break it down for yourself. Give me Luke chapter 1, verse 68. And now give me 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 10.
So it's the book of Luke, chapter 1 and verse 68. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and have raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouths of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began.
Since the world began.
That we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us.
But now I have a question for the audience. If the Most High redeemed his people, but you're so proud that you can't even perceive on the Day of Atonement your mistake, how can you be redeemed? That you can't even see, I went off this day, I went off that day. Man, I can't even. I see myself, I'm the greatest, I'm perfect, I can't make no mistakes. But when we look at Paul, and we're going to see later on, Paul had an issue, and he asked the Most High to relieve him of that issue. And we're going to see what the Most High told him. That how his grace was sufficient, but not because of him doing the work or being as good as he was, but for other reasons that seems to be insignificant to many of our people in the nation, in that are in the world. You know, go ahead on that one.
That's the book of 2 Peter 1 verse 10. It reads, Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if you do these things, ye shall never fail or never fall. It's like it.
See that? So how can you make your election sure? If you know everything, how can you make your election sure? You're already sure. You don't need to do anything, right? I mean, you know everything. But let's look at one of the brothers in the scriptures. Give me 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7. No, start at verse 6. Chapter 12, verse 6.
It's the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 12, and verse 6.
Let's look at Paul. Let's go ahead.
For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Or that he heareth of me,
Mm-hmm.
and lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations.
Keep going.
There was given to me a thorn in the flesh.
Thorn in the flesh. I mean, he had an issue. He had a problem in the flesh. Keep going.
The messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure.
Keep going.
For this thing I besought the Most High thrice,
So
that it might depart from me.
See that? So he had a problem. Maybe he didn't say what it was, but he had maybe a problem with the flesh, or he's seeing women all the time, and his eyes was wandering. He had an issue, but within that issue, the Most High gave him grace enough to deal with that issue. But without that issue, you wouldn't see how hard it is to rise up and go higher and higher. Keep going.
2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee.
Come on, keep going.
For my strength is made perfect in weakness.
My strength is made what?
My strength is made perfect in weakness.
Is made perfect in weakness. That means that during the day of atonement, you could never. It's one of those days you could be as powerful as you could be because you are contemplating your own weakness that you fell through during the year. But if you can't even atone or look back at what went down, how it went down, maybe I should do this way, that way, or even better yet, not even lean on your own understanding, but go through the scriptures and see how our ancestors dealt with issues, how Most High taught us to deal with certain issues. And the next time that issue comes, you'll know how to deal with it, but you need to atone for that issue. If you don't see yourself making mistakes, I don't know how you're going to get better. That's the whole point of the Day of Atonement. Brothers got something to say?
I was going to say, Khan, you got to, you have to look in the mirror. You have to reflect on yourself. A lot of Israelites, those in the know, in the truth, and those that are not, that's one thing that we don't like to do. We don't like to look at ourselves and see where we fall short. We constantly like to point the finger at other people, or we blame others for our bad decisions. But we have to be able to look at ourselves. Once you know some areas that you're weak in, or some things that you fall short at, then you improve in that area. Because before you recognize that that's where your weakness is, if you don't recognize that, there's no reason for you to even attempt to correct it or get better at it.
I mean, our people are so great at seeing in their closet, oh, I'm missing them pairs of Jordans, man. But them Jordans are coming out next week. I need a pair. You know what I'm saying? Them pairs cost $250. They don't care, man. They're gonna work them hours, do the line, be on the watch list, do all necessary to get them pairs of sneakers in their feet. But to sit down for 24 hours and internalizing what's going on with me, how am I my own stumbling block to getting where I need to get? That's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy, but who can find that out? But you can find that out. Because once you are able to connect your mind and your heart and understand what you're supposed to do and how to atone for those things, man, you'll be unbeatable. There's a saying: know the enemy and know yourself. And in a 100 battles, you will never be defeated. So if you could see that you're missing Jordans, or you're missing a necklace to put around your neck that costs $250, you could figure out what's going on, like with your family, with your children, with your wife, how you coming short. And go inside yourself.
Hey, Salakia,
Go ahead.
I just want to get the definition of atonement, right? We read, this is just the Google, right? It says reparation for a wrong or injury, right? Then it also has down here some examples, right? It says the reconciliation of power and humankind through Jesus Christ, right? It has atonement for sin, a ceremony of confession, which you was just saying, a ceremony of confession. It's hard, like you brothers are just bringing out. It's hard for our people to confess of their wrongdoings, man. It's hard because they don't think they're wrong. They think they're right all the time.
You can't. If you're
But
right one time.
That's our people, though. Our people always think that, oh, I'm right. You wrong. It's hard to. I have a hard time with that still, and it's true to this day. I struggle with that, to think that I'm wrong. But being in this truth has helped me understand that sometimes you just got to humble yourself, man. Humble yourself and really look at the subject. Don't go off right at that moment, but look at what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And take time and just think about it. Is it right or is it wrong? And you know what that'll do? That'll make our nation so much better, bro. Because so much better.
If you look at how to defeat the enemy, most of the time is by looking at the brother and be like, hey, I got an issue. I need your help. And him listening is going to alleviate not only yourself, but you're going to defeat that particular enemy. Because in the scriptures it tell you that once you defeat a certain ailment that you have, whether the spirit or the flesh, that spirit will leave you and come back with 7 other spirits.
Can I say one thing?
I
don't mean to cut you off. I don't want. But have y'all ever seen on Facebook or YouTube these two animals fighting, right? Like you just said, it's these two animals fighting, not getting along. But you just brought out a very important point that if you confess and you understand each other and this and that, and don't fight about this and that y'all can defeat the enemy. But you got two animals coming at each other, fighting each other, right? And they're in danger. Here comes this lion or this tiger or leopard, whatever it was, coming at them and about to attack them. They too busy doing this.
You ever seen fighting fish?
Fighting fish? No.
Yeah, fighting fish. There's fighting fish in the ocean. once two fighting fish fight each other, there's another fighting fish waiting in the wing, just waiting.
Just waiting. See?
Just waiting. And while those two are fighting, they're like, all right, I'm going to take out the one that's the weakest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to wait, be patient.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the enemy is, the adversary. Just like it says in Psalms chapter 10, verse 7. Somebody can get that?
Got another one. That's one of my favorite chapters.
He waited to see who he could devour.
Yep. Got it. This is
And
book of Psalms,
go ahead.
chapter 10, verse 7. You want me to get 7 or
Yeah,
8?
7. So that's 7.
Okay. It's like his mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 8. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages.
Mm-hmm.
In the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor.
Against the poor. So now, if you're proud and you think you can't make no mistake, you don't need to atone for nothing. You're gonna walk into the lion's hands, man.
Let's
You
read
got
9.
beast's hands to be devoured.
Let's read 9 though, because it explains that. Verse 9, he said, he lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den.
Mm-hmm.
He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net.
Into his net. So how do you draw something in your net? You have to have bait, man. Or you be so proud you don't think nobody could touch you. You can't be touched. You can't be messed with, and you go into the wrong place at the wrong time, and you get yourself killed. Give me John chapter 4, verse 23.
Book of John, chapter 4, and verse 23. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth.
Now, my question is this: can you go in front of the Lord and be like, yeah, like I'm Teflon. I can't be messed with. I ain't make no mistake, bro. The Most High shows us in many places that He doesn't abide with pride and vanity, man. Like brothers have died because of pride. People in the scriptures have died because of pride in their heart, either be by being squashed by an elephant or being like killed by you know. But by being thrown off of a tower and falling to his death. There's a brother in the scriptures. He got thrown from a wall, falls to his death, and he was begging this woman to tell everybody that a man killed him. It was a lie. I mean, the scripture shows us that Most High could put you to shame, man, quick, fast. Here's an example. Give me 2nd Ezra chapter 4, verse 10. We start at verse 10. This is Zerubbabel in the scriptures. And he's not being put to shame. It's just he's being explained that you got to deal with this first. Like it's a good thing to have the zeal, but you got to stay on this milk first. Go ahead.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 4, and verse 10. He said, moreover, unto me, thine own things, and such as are grown up with thee, canst thou not know.
Go ahead.
How should thy vessel then be able to comprehend the way of the highest? And the world being now outwardly corrupted,
Mm-hmm.
to understand the corruption that is evident in my sight.
Mm-hmm. All the way to verse 20, Lord.
Then said I unto him, it were better that we were not at all, than that we should live still in wickedness.
In wickedness.
Suffer.
See that? He's saying, yo, why am I'm dealing with all of this, man? Let it be done. Let it be over. I want to be done with this. Keep going.
And to suffer, and not to know wherefore.
Yeah. Why? Not to know why. Keep going.
He answered me and said, I went into a forest, into a plain, and the trees took counsel.
The trees took counsel. Because
Said,
Zerubbabel is talking to an angel, the angel Uriel. All right. Keep going.
and said, Come, let us go and make war against the sea.
So the trees, the angel is telling to Zerubbabel, yo, the trees are going to make war versus the seas. Keep going.
That it may depart away before us,
Mm-hmm.
and that we may make us more woods.
Yes, keep going.
The floods of the sea also in like manner took counsel and said, Come, let us go up and subdue the woods of the plain.
Yeah. So he's saying, Uriel is saying, yo, the seas want to make war with the trees so they have more land. Keep going.
That there also we may make us another country.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
The thought of the wood was in vain.
Mm-hmm.
The fire came and consumed it.
So the thought of the woods was vain. It was, yo, you want to make more trees, well, fire can come and consume you. Just like that. Keep going.
The thought of the floods of the sea came likewise to naught. For the sand stood up and stopped them.
So the sand was created to go against the sea. Keep going.
If thou wert judged now betwixt these two, whom wouldest thou begin to justify?
So Uriel is asking Zerubbabel, if you had to judge between the trees winning and the sea winning, who would win? What's your judgment? Keep going.
Or whom wouldest thou condemn?
Yes. Who are you going to chastise? Keep going.
I answered and said, Verily, it is a foolish thought that they both have devised.
Both of them. The woods and the sea devise foolish thoughts. Like it's foolish. Go ahead.
For the ground is given unto the wood,
Yes.
Mm.
and the sea also hath his place to bear his floods.
Yes. Keep going.
Then answered he me and said, Thou hast given a right judgment.
The right judgment. So Uriel told Zerubbabel, yo, you gave the right judgment. Keep going.
But why judgest not thyself also?
Say that again.
But why judgest thou not thyself also?
See that? So he said, yo, you gave right judgment for the trees not to take over the sea, and the sea not to take over the trees, because the desert will go against, the sea and vice versa, right? So look at yourself, because in yourself, you'll not only gain understanding, but you'll gain mastery over both of these elements. Because the Most High in Adam gave him gifts. He named the animals and their designations. But always it starts with us, and it begins in the spirit with the Day of Atonement, to atone for our sins and get better and better and better and rise up in this truth and in the spirit. But if you're not able to say, man, I made a mistake. And the scriptures tell us you don't even have to do that in front of other people. But by doing that in front of other people or with your brother, it's one more enemy that you defeat. And also, it's an enemy may not even come back, because now your brother knows your affliction. So you have two people that's going to be able to deal with this spirit if it comes back again. Does that make sense?
God.
Because that spirit is not going to come back and garnish you, because your house is empty. Now you got a brother with you. The brother so-and-so, he has this issue. Man, if you tell him, yo, if you need me, brother, call me, man. Day or night, whatever happens, I'm there for you.
God, he becomes a hedge for you.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? He's like a hedge. He's there to help you because he know your situation, you know. That's all I want to say, King. Hey, can I get one scripture though?
Go ahead.
I'll read it myself.
Go ahead.
Well, a couple scriptures. It's an oldie but goodie. It says, Matthew 7, judge not that ye be not judged. For with that judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And
Also,
with what measure ye met, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considerest not the beam that is in thy own eye? So you have to consider your own ways, man, first. Like my brother's bringing out here. You got to consider your own ways first, man. And then you're able to go out and reprove another. Or
because within the Day of Atonement, you get a gathering of your record, personal record, and you show that to brothers. When you go out there and you bring this truth, and you hear somebody that went through the same thing that you went through, whether it be, drugs or whether it be theft or whatever the sin is, you have an opportunity to make an atonement for it. And a man that understands what you went through, he's not gonna chastise you as hard because he's been through there. How can he beat you down when he had that same ailment or that same issue?
okay.
Let me read this. This is Micah chapter 7, verse 2. The good man is perished out of the earth, and there is none upright among men. They all lie in wait for blood. They hunt every man his brother with a net, that they may do evil with both hands earnestly. The prince asketh, and the judge asketh for reward. And the great man he uttereth his mischievous desire. So they wrap it up. Now let me read verse 4. The best of them is as a briar. The most upright is sharper than a thorn hedge. The day thy watchman and thy visitation cometh, now shall be their perplexity. So that means that, there are brothers out here, they're harder to get through than a briar with thorns, man. You talking about, I need your help, and there's a big briar, bush of briar with thorns on it, and you're trying to get to that brother, and it's harder than to climb a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're trying to be, I would say over righteous, for lack of a better word. But on the Day of Atonement is a day that, between us as brothers and sisters, is the one day. Let your guard down, bro. Let your guard down. Confess. If you have an issue with a brother, go to that brother in front of other brothers and say what you have to say. Even if a brother has an issue with you, he stand up like, I bet. On that particular day is the day to squash it, man. Because we, as a people, we have to see, and we're looking for that. We in a fog right now. We trying to get back home, man. And that fog light is not lit yet, man. But all we have, as people know, when you're at sea and you're trying to find land, and back in the day, you needed somebody to blow a horn to know where land was, or else you would crash. You crash and hit something, or hit the reefs or the rocks. Somebody had to blow a horn to tell you where the land was to be able to gauge it.
Gotta bring that spirit of Christ on, man. You know what I'm saying? Hamashiach, he didn't care about who did what. He got on that cross.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? He got on that cross and he died, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of spirit we gotta have with our brothers. We gotta know how to forgive, man.
John 15 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find that.
I wanted to get 1 John 4, but you go ahead. It's your thing, bro.
Mhm. Give me a second. Okay. 15 and 13. Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Now I'm asking, on the day of atonement, would you trust your brother enough to tell him you're sorry, or to tell him what afflicts you? You're laying down your life before your brother, man. You lay yourself bare. You're like, yo, brother, I got an issue, or I got an issue with you. We got to discuss it. You know what I'm saying? Blah blah blah, and you hash it out, man. But our people have a impediment to put their hearts out there. You know what I'm saying? To just say, you know what I'm saying? Yo, here, put my heart on the platter. This is my issue. This is my problem, or this is my problem with you, or do you have a problem with me? And yeah, that's laying down your life. Be like, yo, my life is in your hands. I'm ready to be chastised. Because if you are able to take chastisement, brother, when the time comes where you're gonna have to be with Yahushua or do the work, you're not gonna have no fear because you went through all those things and through the Day of Atonement. That's part of saying, I trust my brother so much, I'm gonna tell him. That's love right there. What y'all think?
Fine.
Done.
That curse is on us a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's on everybody, but that curse is on us that we hate each other so much, man. Like Deuteronomy 28 and 54, it's heavy.
And that's why when our people see us bring our honesty onto them, yo, I was this at camp. I was a thief. I was a whoremonger. I was this. I was that. They were like, what? They're taken aback, like, yo, like I'm not perfect, King.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Paul showed us. Like he said, yo, don't be looking at me like I'm above y'all. I'm above my station. Or look at me like greater than I am. I'm the same as y'all. Cause yo, Paul was a dude, man. He was taking taxes from our people. He was putting our people to rigor, bro. Yo, he was going hard.
Yes, sir.
So that's why when he was working for the Lord, he went 10 times as hard. He was going hard and hard, man. He was like, yo, I got to do the work. he knew what time it was.
Mm-hmm.
Our people was like, if you go hard to buy them Jordans or buy them clothes or buy that Gucci, that Birkin bag, I expect you to go hard to say, sis, I got an issue with you. Brother, my bad. On that particular day, and I don't know about brothers in the chat or brothers Zion and Nawa, but for me, when I hear brothers say, yo, on September 14th, I remember that, I did this to you, my bad, Lord. I'd be like, whoa, he remembered the day? I forgot the day. That hit me, man. That means that, yo, it remains in your head, and you made a mental note that, man, I gotta say sorry to this brother. I went off. Because you remember the day. Man, me? People do things to me, I don't remember the day. I just say, yo, I my bad, I did this one 2 weeks ago, but you remember the day precisely.
Right.
Yo, my bad, man. I went off. So I make amends. But our people remembering the day, or sometimes they say sorry. They don't even say for what reason they're saying sorry, which defeats the whole purpose.
Okay.
Y'all got anything to say, brothers, to add to that?
If you just say sorry and you don't say the reason that you're apologizing, is really it's half-hearted. It's more or less that they're just saying it to say it. It's not not with a contrite spirit.
Not genuine.
It's not genuine at all.
I mean, back in the day, we had brothers that would wear sackcloth and put ash upon their heads and say sorry to the Most High. But today they just say sorry to just to let it go out. But yes, black liberation is disingenuous. It's not from the heart, man. It's not.
Son.
It's not real. It's just to say to get it off your chest to help you feel better. No. I have a cousin of mine. He said, if you go to sleep, basically, and you know you did wrong, but you still sleep well, something wrong with you. Something wrong with you. Like, you hurt somebody, and according to scripture, you're not supposed to let, go to sleep with your wrath, basically, right? I'm paraphrasing. But you don't even care, man. Like, there's no, like the scriptures say, Matthew 24:12. I'm trying to come from the scriptures. I'm trying to keep up with Zion, you know what I'm saying? Straight from the scripture. Oh, yeah.
Can I bring out one thing?
Come.
This is 1 John chapter 3, right? Verse 20. Matter of fact, start at 19. It says, and hereby we know that we are of the truth, and shall assure our hearts, which is our minds, right, before him. For if our heart condemn us, God is greater than our heart, and knoweth all things. Beloved, if our heart condemn us not, then have we confidence towards God? Right? So our hearts, our minds, we should, condemn ourselves. Period. Meaning the things that we've done wrong, we should atone for those things, man. And our brothers, we need to forgive them, because we need to condemn ourselves. Just like when I brought out that Matthew 7, we have to think about the things that we've done, like my brother's bringing out, the things that we've done. Okay? You got to look at that brother. He's going through the same thing. We all going through this whole thing together as one. Okay? So that's all I want to bring out of the one.
And when you look at Matthew 24:12, it says, and because iniquity shall be abound, the love of many shall wax cold. I mean, part of keeping that flame of the spirit of Jacob lit inside of us is keeping that love. And part of love is being able to not only forgive, but also be self-afflicting.
Right.
Because part of that, you can't just throw, like if you look at fire, right? Like Zerubbabel, Uriel asked him the weight of fire. But if you look at fire as what it is, as a flame to keep us warm, you can't just chuck wood on fire to keep it lit. You have to kindle a fire. You have to keep it, like if you go to tabernacles in the woods, our brother's gonna come. I hope that people that go to tabernacles go out in the woods and start a fire and see how not easy it is. Don't use a lighter. Don't use matches. Try to start a fire.
Not easy.
You'll see that it's not that easy, man. It's a whole process. So that once that fire is lit, keeping it lit is another stage of that of keeping that fire alive. Because you start with kindling and some little lint, and you have to rub two pieces of wood together to start it, and then you have to take those embers and put it in that kindling or that fire starter that you put together to light that fire. And after that, once it's lit, you have to put wood, and have to try not to kill that flame.
You gotta have air to it.
Yeah, you have to have air. You have to blow it. You have to add wood, not too much, not too little. And you have to go. You have to pace yourself, and you have to kindle it, take care of it, watch over it, and that's our process. When Day of Atonement, basically, you're just saying, I gotta chill this fire right here, right? And be like, you know what? You gotta start a new one and keep it lit. Keep it lit. It's a new spiritual new year. You have to give new offerings to the Most High of a contrite heart and be like, all right. And just like when you go camping, it's one of the best times because you're around brothers and brothers just sitting around the flame and you're just thinking. And most of us don't even realize that when we're around the fire, some of us will talk, but that flame has a calming effect. And you just thinking, you run the fire and just thinking. If you go to camp around brothers and sisters, you'll see there's a point in time around the fire, people were not talking. You just look at the flame and just contemplate. And you just atone, and you just thinking about, man, I went off. September 14th, I went off. After Passover, man, I was wrong. So I did that. I did this. And then man.
Also, can I say one thing? Just one thing.
Come on.
When you out there in the wilderness, sometimes you have to depend on that brother. Now, what if you got some type of beef or whatever, quote unquote beef with this brother or something like that, and he has something that you might need
from them?
I'm just saying, when you have something that you might need, right? Now, if you got this on you, this spirit on you, that that y'all ain't got together and work things out and this and that. Listen, man, it's called survival. You think that brother is gonna want to help you out and this and that? I just wanted to bring that in there because you was talking about being out there with,
man,
amongst men. You know what I'm saying? And you got to. This day is very important. This is what's going to bring Israel back. To learn how to forgive. We got to. But we're not going to have a nation, period. If we don't know how to forgive, that goes along with family, wives, all that kind of stuff.
And you know what's I find disillusioning is the fact these other nations, for the sake of money, for the sake of business, they will let things slide.
Yeah.
They will let things slide.
Yeah.
Like, they're looking at the bigger picture. On the left-hand side, you know what I'm saying, because of money, like, you know what, man, I'm about to make $500,000, I'm about to make 10,000, whatever number it is. But man, I need that money. I'm gonna let that slide, man. I'm gonna let it go.
But the thing about it, brother, I'm gonna interrupt you. The thing about it, though, we don't have money to change our mindset.
But that's why
we gotta have
that much serious because we don't have money. So it should be even more important to forgive or to make amends with people on the Day of Atonement. It's not supposed to be the crutch that you use to say, yo, I'm gonna let go of this because I need this money.
There you go. There you go.
We all ain't got nothing.
Exactly.
We might as well let it go, man. We're gonna forgive brothers for reasons that are above and beyond money.
Yep. That's exactly right.
You got something, Zion?
Yeah, I got a precept.
Go ahead.
I want to go to Isaiah 58. I'm going to start at verse 6. Is not this the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke? So, like you brought out earlier, this is the renewing.
Mm-hmm.
This is the reset button that the Most High gives us from year to year. Not only for us to go to one another, confess to one another, to air out any grievances, to ask for forgiveness, but also to take off the oppression that we've been holding in. You know, a lot of times people, instead of coming to you to apologize to you, they'll just they won't even speak to you anymore. They'll avoid you. And that's oppressing on yourself, because whenever you see this person, you like, man, let me go the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's creating a issue that's not even necessary.
Verse 7, is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house, when thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh?
Mm.
So we're supposed to make sure that once we go to our brother or sister, once we bring ourselves to let them know, hey, you offended me, or I apologize for offending you. If we're brought to shame, if they're feeling ashamed, then we should as well cover them, reassure them, we good, family.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the fact that you came to me and you spoke your heart.
Okay.
Verse 8, then after these things are done, then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Most High shall be thy reward. That's heavy.
Wow, that's heavy.
That's it, Adawan. I just wanted to bring that out.
I mean,
It's definitely heavy, man.
that's why, like, I suggest people, if you have a border of water somewhere, or someplace where you could just chill and relax and look at the scenery, and just because on that day you can't eat, you can't consume food, and that's including comfort food, even water. So all you have is your body and your thoughts, and there's no greater enemy to defeat than yourself. You saw Paul, man. Paul was saying, "Yo, like, he asked the Most High 3 times. I'm dealing with this, man. Can you relieve me?" And now my grace is sufficient. You need this ailment to understand and to grow. You need, yeah, like, has anybody seen, um, those CrossFit people that do CrossFit, and they have to pull a rock, or they have to run with a parachute. It's the same principle. Paul had to run with a stone behind him. But that stone, every time he was walking, man, he was building calves, man, in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? He was building calves in the spirit. He was building his arms. He was building his chest. Man, he was pulling that ailment with him. By the time he lets that go, man, he's going to be brother. Going to be powerful. But he has to carry that. He ain't got no choice. Because you have to do battle. If you, in all things, Floyd Mayweather needed Pacquiao, right? Mike Tyson needed Holyfield. Everybody needed an enemy to surmount to become greater.
Mm.
So for us, having an ailment like Paul, having an ailment, everybody has their own thing. But having that ailment makes you greater. It don't make you weaker. You just have to accept it and be like, nah, I'm going to win. I might, scrape my knee from time to time and fall, but the Day of Atonement is there for that. Be like, man, last year I went off 2 times on that front. this year I'm going to bring it down to nothing, or maybe one time, or I'm going to work hard on it because I know it's there. And if a brother's there to support me, or I'll be like, yo, Zion, man, I'm going to this, that, and the third. What you think? What you got advice from me? Brother's going to talk to you. He'll be like, yeah, yeah, I know. He's going to pull you up like by the arm. Stand up, king. Stand up. You ain't going to fall on my watch. But if you fall on my watch, I'm falling too.
God.
Right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? I can't let you down there, man. American government talk about, oh, no man left behind. But who's in the front lines getting shot? You know what I'm saying? So our people went to war for this country. And a lot of Israelite blood was spilled. So if you're willing to spill blood for a country that don't care for you, at the very least, you should be able to trust a brother.
Bring it out.
Trust a brother and tell him, yo, bro, like, come on, man. I'm dealing with this. I need advice. I need something. Got something? Yeah, I got something for you. I guarantee you, brothers will be okay with you bleeding on them. They'd rather you bleed on them and you trust them with your ailments, and you go to see the enemy and tell him all your secrets, and it could be used against you.
Yeah, I say all the time, we walk past the enemy every day, man. And we don't do nothing. But we have such a hard time loving our own brother and forgiving him for certain things, man. But you forgave this man for murdering your ancestors and firing you from your job, giving you bad food, all kind of different things, man.
Can you imagine making us eat pork, making our women walk and whistle at the same time to make sure they don't eat from the plate before they get to the table that they're going to eat on?
Huh.
I mean, there's some psychological damage done. Now, on the reverse end, as a child of the Most High, you should be. Somebody step on the Air Force Ones, be like, Most High gonna give me another pair, or I could grab a toothbrush and wash my sneakers. What's wrong with that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to have a reaction to it. The whole point of the Day of Atonement is to realize that you could catch yourself. You're like, yo, like last December, man, I went off on a dude in the subway because he stepped on my sneakers. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I shouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing in Cleveland with sneakers on where I know there's snow outside? You know what I'm saying? What was I thinking in the first place? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and I got them tiny short socks. You know, dead of winter, I'm supposed to wear boots, man. But you trying to be fashionably late, trying to be fashionably looking good out there with Air Force Ones and slush and dirty snow. It was the wrong time. You got stepped on. You should have thought of that before you left the house. But you got angry at the brother for stepping on your feet. Come on, man. Come on, man. It's not that serious.
Exactly.
That's all I got for today, man.
Kind of the one kind. Beautiful. Great class, man. Great to the point. Straightforward. You know,
I got one thing to say if I can. I don't want.
Come
yes, King.
On the Day of Atonement, when you're afflicting your soul, and if you just so happen to, you know, get overwhelmed with hunger, I'm gonna show you what you can eat. Go to the book of Revelation, chapter 10, and start at verse 9.
Revelation chapter 10 and verse 1.
No, verse 9.
Verse 9. And I went unto the angel and said unto him, Give me the little book. And he said unto me, Take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey.
Right.
So if you get overwhelmed, if you hunger pains, Take the book. Sit down. Eat the book.
Trust me.
This is the comforter.
Con.
It'll get you through.
Con.
That's for sure.
That's all I had. I don't want.
Anything else, brother?
I'm too wild.
Gone. So with that, the water everybody for tuning in. Next week we probably won't have a class because it is the Day of Atonement. So we'll catch you next time. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I say Shalom.
Shalom.
Most I bless all of y'all.
And have a good Day of Atonement, man. Like the brother said, if you're hungry, you get hungered, go into the book, grab scriptures, read scriptures, and that elevated, and that time frame, your mind is elevated state. So you're going to be able to gravitate and even absorb these scriptures even more.
Come.
All right.
Gone. Shalom, family.
Shalom.
Shalom.